last few days, most of the attention in Pakistan's media was on issues related to the Mehmood, the aftermath of Mehmood attack, the issues related to the health of President Zardari. But another event was unfolding in Iran, and that had to do with the downing of stealth 170 US drone that came down near the border with Afghanistan. This event has serious implications for the region, especially because this drone also was involved in the Osama bin Laden operation in Pakistan and was sending live feeds to White House during the operation. We want to go to the region and ask our guests today to evaluate the implications of this particular incident. We have a defense analyst from Pakistan, then we will go to a representative of Pakistan's Tehreek-e-Insaf PTI in Arkansas. Then we have a member of parliament in Afghanistan who will talk to us about what Afghanistan thinks about these particular events. And lastly, we'll go to the head of Middle East Institute in Ohio University. Let's now go to Pakistan, where Brigadier Mehmood Shah, who is a defense analyst, is joining us from Pakistan via Skype. Welcome, Brigadier Mehmood Shah. I wanted to ask you, first of all, the question about the downing of the stealth drone RQ-170 in Iran. As you know, this is the same drone that was also used during the Osama bin Laden operation. And also during the operation, it was sending live feeds to the White House. Pakistan has usually paid more attention to the Predator drones and has not covered as much this particular drone, which is also known as the Beast of Kandahar. Is there any particular reason for that?
I think Pakistan is still working on its cyber aspects, and and I think this is being worked out even in China. And in response to this drones, which is a new technology, is more what you call as a robotic warfare. It has been discussed at various levels, and it's being thought that's even against the Geneva Convention, and it has brought a sort of change in the complete warfare, what you call. And I think that many people have been demanding that this should be shot down by our Air Force. And I think our Air Force is not doing that because it is like killing a fly with a hammer by manned aircraft. So I think the answer or the remedy lies in working out certain cyber warfare aspects. Pakistan is also working on it. Other countries are also working on it. And I think soon there will be, and Iran has demonstrated that people will come out with a response where this can be easily taken over. Like the Iranian is far more backward, I would say, in electronic warfare or the cyber warfare. But I think our people are far more forward. But the response so far has not been put forward. I think it must be in the stages of research.
Brigadier Shah, what do you think about the evolving role of Afghanistan? It seems like the drones are flying from there into Iran as well and to Afghanistan. What are your views on this particular role of Afghanistan, where it seems like it's becoming the covert central for the region, where all kinds of secret operations are being conducted across different countries?
I think when US talks about living bases, that's the main reason that probably in this region they want to stay for longer period, and probably they have some more objectives than simply bringing peace and stability to Afghanistan, which they have not been able to do so far after 10 years. And now they are leaving off bases on the pretext that situation in Afghanistan has not been stabilized, has really alarmed various countries. It includes Russia, it includes China, it includes Pakistan, It includes Iran, and it also includes India. Because in Istanbul Conference, they brought out a copy of the Organization for Security and Cooperation of Europe, OSCE, sort of agreement to be signed for Afghanistan. And that was a sort of giving an extended role to NATO and also to America the right to be in this area, which Pakistan opposed, Russia opposed, China opposed, and of course Iran I think wasn't there, but India did not openly oppose, but what we learned that they are also against it. And I think that they would be using these bases for maintaining this sort of electronic warfare or sort of intelligence activities in this region. So therefore, people are against this. And Bagram, for a very long time, has been used for these drone attacks. They were also using probably Shamsi Air Base, and Pakistan has asked that Shamsi Air Base to be vacated, and I think they have vacated. But that was no longer required by them. Initially, they got this Shamsi Air Base for emergency landing, that in case the aircraft which are flying out from the battle carrier, that they, in case they develop some hydraulic faults and they cannot land back on carrier, they need an air base, and that is why Pakistan gave them. But subsequently, they developed it into a drone sort of base also. So some of the attacks were being launched from this. But I think their main base would remain Afghanistan.
Brigadier Shah, according to media reports, US has already vacated the Shamsi Air Base, where most of these drones were located in Pakistan. I mean the Predator drones, not the RQ-171. What is the status of those other bases, the Pasni and the Jacobabad one? Those were also initially given to the US for help in
No, I
Afghanistan.
don't think so. In Pakistan, it is being talked about. First is, of course, Jacobabad. No, Jacobabad was given to them in violation of the initial agreement. Initial agreements only included three sort of terms, which were known to me at that time because I was Director of Military Intelligence. And one was that they wanted a base or a couple of bases where they could land for the reason hydraulic faults and so on and so forth. That was one. The second, they required custody for changing of troops for recreation purposes. The helicopters would bring troops from the battle carrier, and they would land them at Tusney, and then they would be taken by sea 141 to Digu Garcia for changeover trips. So that has been vacated. Then lately we learned, I mean, this was one was overflight, second was were these bases, and third was intelligence cooperation. Only these were the three terms of agreement which were made between. But in between, I think that it was even not known to the Army High Command because I asked particularly as to why Jacob Watt has been given. And I think that was used in a major manner for staging attacks onto Afghanistan. But due to very strong opposition, as soon as the war came to a sort of low level in Afghanistan, it has been vacated and it is no longer there. The second place is Karbala, and there are operation special operation task forces based. So they brought in certain people who were providing sort of spare parts for our helicopters. They also made a small base where these people used to live, and we learned that they were using it for intelligence activities. So that has also been vacated to the best of my knowledge. And similarly, they had also made a small sort of place near Kahuta. That has also been vacated. So I think now except for some CIA elements which might still be operating. And the government of Pakistan is very critically looking into this. And if they suspect anyone who is working for CIA, they arrest him and they interrogate him. So that way they are trying to deny space to the American sort of intelligence operations within Pakistan.
Brigadier Shah, another question is, according to your knowledge, was the RQ-170 drone ever based in Shamsi as well? Because if it did, it had carried serious repercussions for the region. As you know, during the Cold War days, the U-2 spy plane used to fly from Peshawar and carry out spying missions over Soviet Union and was eventually shot down, creating a crisis at that time. Do you think this particular drone, the Beast of Kandahar, was ever based in Shamsi?
I think you are right. And this Shamsi Air Base, when I told you that the initial purpose only this and this subsequently developed it into a base for these predators or drones. Now, if you see the crow flight distance between Waziristan and Shamsi and Bagram and North Waziristan, I think most of the attacks in North Waziristan were launched from Bagram because it was, I think it is less flying time than it would have from Shamsi. But I think Shamsi was basically used against Iran, not only in terms of drones, but I think even there would have been certain equipment which they were using. So I think closing of Shamsi base, where on one side it wouldn't affect Pakistan because the initial sort of effort that they wanted to have, or for the reason for which they got Shamsi Air Base, no longer exists. But these drones there and this in close proximity of Iran, that is about 100 kilometers from Iran. So that is why, and Pakistan did not have much information regarding the base. Somehow they had handed over. Some of our Air Force officers used to visit and they talked to me and they told me that I think Pakistan must ask them to vacate this base. So I think a good sort of occasion arrived, and where on one side they have asked for a stoppage of the NATO supply route within Pakistan, which they might revive if there is good agreement between the two. But I think there is no chance for Shamsi base to be revived.
Thank you, Brigadier Mehmood Shah, for joining us and sharing your insights with us. It seems like Brigadier Shah brought in some very important observations. He thinks if the RQ-170 was ever based in Shamsi Air Base, it does create serious consequences for other allies of Pakistan, which includes China as well as Iran. It would be very serious if any of these drones were flying from spy surveillance drones were flying from Pakistan. Now let's go to the representative of Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, Dr. Asad Khan. He is the secretary for Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, also called PTI in USA. And we are going to pose a question of him because PTI has for a long time been very critical of the drone attacks in Pakistan. And the popularity of PTI has been rising in Pakistan, and its chairman Imran Khan is considered by many to be the next leader of Pakistan. So let's go to Dr. Asad. Welcome, Dr. Asad, and thank you for joining us. I wanted to ask you your opinion on drone attacks. It's well known that your party is very critical of drone attacks in FATA and tribal areas. But today I want to ask you about another incident which involves drones of a different kind, the RQ-170, which is used for surveillance and reconnaissance, and Iran claims to have brought it down near its border with Afghanistan. This particular one is RQ-170, also known as the Beast of Kandahar. But I wanted to ask you, what is the rationale behind your criticism of drone attacks in Pakistan, especially when many others claim that it have been very effective against targeting extremists, and in US some officials claim it's the only game in town.
Thank you, Arif, for taking me in the call and allowing me to present Chairman Imran Khan's position on drones and drone warfare. His stance, Imran Khan's stance, has remained categorical, undeviating, persistent since the drone war started in 2004, and that is that we are categorically against drone warfare. We are against drones in Pakistan um, because not only it causes civilian casualties, it also becomes judge, jury, and executioner, in which we have no information who are killed, who were they. They cannot be brought in front of judicial system. So there is no rule of law actually being followed. We are not at war with United States. And so drone coming into Pakistan, breaching Pakistan's sovereignty, makes it arouses a lot of passion, intense hatred, anger, and more hardline response from different sectors of our society. Plus, it causes conflicts which we're already seeing, um, of Pakistani military people dying or mistakenly being attacked in different areas. All these things and today's newest events have led us even more in the direction that this drone warfare can cause even more problems and can potentially lead to an open confrontation and warfare, which neither party, United States or Pakistan, can ill afford. So that has been the main thrust of his anti-drone uh, position.
Dr. Asad, what do you think are the implications of the downing of the RQ-170 by Iran? As we had talked, the same drone was also conducting surveillance and reconnaissance over Pakistan.
If drone warfare has expanded exponentially, and not in this theater, but if we remain specific to this theater of Afghanistan, Iran, and Pakistan, we know a few things now. It has emerged that the beast of Kandahar has been flying in this area and spying for the last at least 2 3 years. Um, what is interesting that RQ-170 is a stealth drone, which is very advanced, one of the most advanced stealth drones in the world. And if the main focus was Afghanistan, who does not even have radars to catch any aeroplane, there are no air force um, to say in Afghanistan. What was the role of RQ-170 in Afghanistan theater? Unless the only main purpose of it was to spy on Iran and Pakistan nuclear installations, as you already know that it has sensors for detecting radioactive material, and that has been mentioned in the newspaper and the journals. Um, we also know now that they've been flying for many years. That also raises the stakes for both Pakistan and Iran that perhaps their nuclear installations were being monitored. Now, what will that do for relationship between Pakistan and United States? Obviously, the Pakistani military and Pakistani government will look at it as these were spy missions on them and their nuclear assets. Will that lead to trust building? Of course not. That's why we are probably seeing the emergence of distrust, the cancellation of Bonn conference by Pakistanis. Um, so when people talk about building trust, and then we find out that for the last 2 3 years, these kind of drones have been flying and spying, uh, this is not going to lead to any peace. And let me add one more thing. Let me give you a scenario. Same scenario like happened in Iran. What if a drone similar to the one which was flying over Abbottabad during Operation Geronimo against Osama bin Laden, if a similar drone is now caught flying over a Pakistani nuclear installation or, for example, like Kahuta, and it gets shot down by Pakistani military, and the Americans come in trying to retrieve it. Special forces come in quickly to retrieve it, and they leads to a clash between the two forces. What are the implications of that battle between the two countries? How will they resolve this issue? What if a few dozen Pakistani soldiers right in the heart of Pakistan get killed and a few dozen Americans get killed? Then what will happen? Have they thought about that? And what if it arouses a lot of intense passion and aggression in the society? How will Pakistani military and Pakistani government contain that? So these are the things which really raises a lot of stakes here, raises a lot of concern here for both sides. And that's, I'm sorry to say, it appears that it has been overlooked, especially by the American government and the American military.
Dr. Asad, do you see any parallel between Iraq and Afghanistan in the sense of US withdrawal from both countries? As you are aware, US is withdrawing from Iraq militarily and has declared that it would complete its withdrawal before the end of the year. How do you think it relates to US withdrawal in Afghanistan?
Although we do hear about Iraq withdrawal from Iraq has been taking place and it has been brought down to a large extent. But if you look a bit more deeply, there are many questions raised about whether the desire to leave these two theaters, Afghanistan and Iraq, is actually on board or on the agenda. If you know about the U.S. embassy in Iraq, the new U.S. embassy in Iraq in Baghdad, it is the largest embassy of any country in the world at this time. It is amazing that it can house 5,000 people. It's cost about 750 million to $1 billion. Now, that doesn't show us that there is any intention to leave Iraq from a military standpoint, because a whole military post will be developed there. So I'm not sure that that is on the agenda, that Iraq will be uh, left as a theater. Similarly, the whole idea in Afghanistan, especially being used as staging ground to spy on Iran, I would also assume spying on Pakistan nuclear assets. One can even assume as a spying staging ground towards China. You remember the U-2 incident from 1960s when Pakistani Bacha Air Force Base was used for U-2 bombers to fly into Soviet Union. I see a similarity here in which Afghanistan or perhaps Pakistan is being used as a staging ground.
Thank you, Dr. Asad, for joining Polytech today and sharing your views. Now let's go to a member of parliament in Afghanistan, Bacha Majidi. He is going to be joining us via telephone. My first question to you is in regards to the implications of the RQ-170 jet drone that came down in Iran. And there is a possibility that the drone may have taken off from Afghanistan, and if it did, then it creates the impression that the same drone is also conducting reconnaissance and surveillance over Pakistan and was involved in the Osama bin Laden operation and is also conducting operations surveillance in Iran as well. What would be your views in regards to this particular incident and how the role of Afghanistan may come out from these incidents?
د امریکې او د کومې سرګرمۍ چې په دې منطقې کې وي په دې کې یوه خاصه هغه مؤثره قوه چې هغه د پیلوټ جهازونه وو چې په دې منطقې کې وو چې هغه
Let me translate the important points Mr. Majidi has made. He thinks that the drone strikes and technology was being very effective. But at the same time, the coming down of RQ-170 in Iran points to some important facts as well. That was it the smartness of Iran that brought down this such a sophisticated weapon, or there is some inherent weakness with this technology that we should be careful about in the future? At the same time, he refers to a period of transition in Afghanistan which he thinks is very sensitive and everybody should tread with very particular care because Afghanistan is going through this transition. He thinks the issues or concerns raised by Iran, Pakistan, China or others in relation to the covert activities that are emanating from Afghanistan should be heard to and addressed. He also thinks that perhaps a conference on these topics may be the best way to move forward in which these concerned parties could raise their issues. He also thinks that the Bonn conference, which was recently concluded, was a very positive step because some important countries and stakeholders have offered assistance to Pakistan, to Afghanistan, as it moves forward and stands on its feet. And it wants these neighboring countries, Iran and Pakistan, to join into that assistance for Afghanistan. I would like to thank Mr. Majidi for have joined Polytech and sharing his views. Thank you very much for joining us.
You are welcome.
Now, let's move to Dr. Payind. He is the head of the Middle East Institute at the Ohio University. He travels to Afghanistan regularly and has contacts in the region. And he writes a lot about the region as well and is connected with officials in US as well. And we want to discuss the implications of this incident with Mr. Payind as well. He is going to be joining us via telephone as well. Welcome, Dr. Alam Payind, and thank you for joining us again. My first question to you is in regards to the recent event in which a stealth drone was brought down in Iran. It's not for sure, but it's probably likely that the drone may have taken off from Afghanistan and went into Iran. As you're aware, this is the same drone that has also conducted surveillance and reconnaissance in Pakistan. What do you think is the opinion of Afghan people about these particular activities that are emanating from Afghanistan?
Well, you know that Afghanistan, the central government is not a very strong government, and there are about 150,000 foreign troops in Afghanistan. But Pakistan is an independent country. There is no foreign troops in Pakistan. And we all know that some of these drones are flying from Pakistan and some of them from Afghanistan. And no one knows where did this drone, our US RQ-170, took off from. No one knows that whether it took from Pakistani air bases or from Afghanistan. But the important thing is that the Iranians have claimed that we have downed our electronic warfare unit. Their army's electronic warfare unit has brought this down by jamming some of the instruments on the drone. And no one knows whether that is the truth or not. Because in that sort of conditions, the truth becomes the first victim. So that's the claim that Iranians are claiming, that we brought it down by jamming the electronic equipment on the drone. And so the important thing is that this drone has not been damaged from the pictures and from the mass media which is reflecting. The only news that we have is from televisions and newspapers so far. It looks that the drone has not been damaged extensively. So that has been captured in Iran. And Iranians are claiming, the Iranian military authorities, that this drone was flying almost about 100 and some kilometers inside the airspace of Iran. And Iran has protested that the Iranian airspace has been violated by the American drones. So the United States, the official news has not come yet, but this used to be one of the CIA reconnaissance mission.
Dr. Payind, do you think that as the relations between both US and Pakistan are tense, and on the other hand Iran's relations are tense with US and NATO as well, in fact those countries don't even have a diplomatic relations, in the future do you foresee that Afghanistan will take on the role that Pakistan has played in the past?
Well, these are the things that we see. There is international, Iran and the United States do not have a direct diplomatic relationships. And the interests of the United States in Iran is somehow managed by the Swiss embassy. So that Iran and the United States do not have diplomatic relationships. But Pakistan and the United States and Afghanistan and the United States, they have diplomatic relationships. In the past few days, because of the killing of the 24 Pakistani police and army forces, the situation, you are absolutely right, it's very tense between the United States and Iran, between the United States and Pakistan. But everyone knows that the United States needs the assistance of Pakistan in fighting international terrorism, and also Pakistan needs the assistance, economic and technological assistance of the United States. So they both need each other, and we know that the situation they will resolve this problem which now exists, but it will not be forever. I don't think that total cutting off of the assistance from each other or the mutual relationship which exists between Pakistan and Iran will continue forever. But it's true that right now, with the closing of the borders between Afghanistan and Pakistan, and some of the supplies of the American units are not reaching Americans, so either the United States will have to find another route to transport the military equipment and personnel from another route, probably Kazakhstan and parts of Russia, and directly to Afghanistan from the United States, passing over the North Pole, or probably they will have to find another route. But as long as Pakistan is a conduit, is a route for American supplies to Afghanistan, the United States will need the assistance of Pakistan. And Pakistan also needs the assistance of the United States.
Dr. Payind, as we just talked, the relations are deteriorating between Pakistan and NATO, as well as Iran has difficult relations with US and NATO as well. In this context, how would the Afghan reconciliation process evolve from this point onward, when two of its most important neighbors are at odds with the US and NATO?
Everyone knows, anyone who studies the region where Afghanistan and Iran and Pakistan is located, and the Central Asian countries, they know that Afghanistan is a landlocked country in its current geography. Afghanistan will need, for its international commerce and business and export and import, that it has to be done either through Iran or through Pakistan mostly. And also there is another route which is through Tajikistan and Uzbekistan and Turkmenistan, but that's a very long route. Historically, Afghanistan did export and import either through Iran or mostly from what is Pakistan today. It used to be the subcontinent of India. So that is a necessity for Afghanistan to have good relations with both Iran and Pakistan. And I have mentioned in so many of my writings and my lectures that Afghanistan will need the assistance of these two countries, especially Iran and Afghanistan, in any kind of peace, bringing peace to Afghanistan or stability to Afghanistan. So these two countries are the key countries for the stability, bringing stability and peace to Afghanistan, and the vice versa. If there is no peace in Afghanistan, there will be no peace in Pakistan and Iran. We know that. Well, we all know that what Iqbal has said almost about 70 years ago, that in his very beautiful Persian couplet, that Asia, Afghanistan is the heart of the Asia, and the tribal and the ethnic groups are spread around Afghanistan and Pakistan in a way, Central Asia, that if there is no peace in Afghanistan, if there is peace in Afghanistan, there will be peace in the region. If there is no peace in Afghanistan, there will be no peace in the region. When you know that in Afghanistan there are more Tajiks than Tajikistan, and the Pashtuns and the Baluchs and the other on both sides of the borders. So you cannot have chaos and terrorism in Afghanistan and Pakistan will remain immune. It's not happening. We know that Pakistan is suffering from the existence of no peace in Afghanistan. And Iran will suffer too in Central Asia. So on the one hand, Afghanistan needs the assistance of both Iran, the neighboring countries in the region, and especially Pakistan and Iran. And so does Pakistan and Iran. Afghanistan cannot burn in the fires, in the flames, and the flames can reach the neighbors of Afghanistan. We see that it's happening right now. There is no peace in Pakistan either, and Iran will not have a peace if there is no peace in Afghanistan. So this is a mutual benefit. If the peace and the stability comes to Afghanistan, it will come to the region. But Afghanistan needs Pakistan, the goodwill and the assistance and honesty of both Iran and Pakistan.
Dr. Payind, I have asked this question of our other guests today as well, that how do the Afghan people think about this particular aspect, the mood on the street I'm talking about, that eventually will develop, if not already, that these drones are flying from Afghanistan into neighboring countries, conducting surveillance and reconnaissance. Are the people of Afghanistan aware of this, and what do they particularly think about it? Furthermore, do you think that the recent attacks on Shia Hazaras in Afghanistan has to do with anything with this tense relation between Afghanistan, Iran, Pakistan?
No one knows. They are blaming each other. For example, I just heard a few days ago that Hamid Karzai blamed some of the... Well, that is one thing. The Afghani Taliban have rejected that they did not have any involvement in this bombing in Afghanistan. The Pakistani Taliban have rejected. But there is one group in Pakistan, which is the Sipahi Jangawi. They have claimed the responsibility. And that group is headquartered in Pakistan. So that's one thing we know. We know that there are both Afghani Taliban and Pakistani Taliban. There is the Quetta Shura and others. And Osama bin Laden was killed in Pakistan, in Abbottabad, just a few miles from the military bases in Pakistan. Most of the Al-Qaeda top leadership have been killed in Afghanistan. And so other have been arrested in Pakistan. So Pakistan cannot deny that the international terrorists are not existing in Pakistan. This Sipahi Jangawi and Jaish al-Islam and this and that. So there are groups which have been labeled by international organizations as terrorists. They have their headquarters in Pakistan. So Pakistan, no matter how many times Pakistani authorities are rejecting that they are not in Pakistan, we know that they are. Everyone knows. So that's one thing. But now, whether the Pakistani government had a hand in it, that's a different question. I don't think that there is evidence which will prove that either the CIA or the Pakistani military was involved in this notorious and horrible bombing in Afghanistan, which have killed the Hazaras and the Shiites. So probably there are elements that who want to provoke the Shia-Sunni fighting in Iraq. The same groups are going to create the Shia-Sunni fighting in Pakistan. Pakistan has also been the victim of that sort of Shia mosques being blown up and the Sunni mosques have been blowing up. So Pakistan has a longer history of the Shia-Sunni fighting than Afghanistan. In Afghanistan, this is a new thing, and that's what we are afraid, that maybe that's the Pakistanization of the Shia-Sunni dynamics in Afghanistan. So hope it's going to be stopped before it becomes a huge problem. Pakistan will suffer from this great deal too, to a great extent, and so Iran. If the Shia-Sunni fighting will expand, that would be very difficult to contain. And I think that everyone has to work on this, whether that's Pakistani government, or Afghan, or Iranian, or the leaders of the Shiites and the leaders of the Sunnis. They have to come to some sort of conclusion and consensus to prevent future Shia-Sunni. But the enemies will always continue. The terrorist elements will continue to put Shiites against the Sunnis and Sunnis against the Shiites.
Thank you, Dr. Payind, for joining Polytech and sharing your views with us. Let us move now to the conclusion of this segment and present what we think are some of the salient features. Some very important points have emerged during our conversation. One of them had to do with the Shamsi Air Base, and we were very alarmed by the fact that it is very possible that the RQ-170 stealth drone were based in Shamsi Air Base as well, and if there is an equal possibility that if it had not flown from Afghanistan, it could have come from the Shamsi Air Base. That creates serious repercussions, as we have pointed out, for Pakistan. It is also possible that it may have come from any of the US ships in the region and have taken off from that particular ship. Nonetheless, that it does create a very important point. Secondly, we have definitely seen that the fight in Afghanistan and the Af-Pak region has become much more than just fighting the extremists, and it has also become an effort to contain the adversaries. And this may not be an important point for Afghanistan, but definitely for the neighbors, Iran, Pakistan, China, and others. This may be of very serious concerns that they are likely to develop a response to. And this may create a difficult situation for the people of Afghanistan. Secondly, or thirdly, we also want to point out to the fact that although there is a lot of talk about Afghan reconciliation presently going on, but what we are seeing on the ground is actually an escalation, which is the opposite. The Bonn conference just concluded, and we had Mehmood attack just occur a few days before Bonn conference. Now, after the Bonn conference, we have this drone coming down in Iran, and without these two countries involved in the Afghan reconciliation, I don't know how the Afghan reconciliation is going to take shape. It seems more and more to be validating the comments made by Wali Nasser, who was the top advisor for late Richard Holbrooke, the US AFPAC representative, which the comment was made recently at a Woodrow Wilson Institute event, in which he commented that the US presence in the region in the future is going to be less about Afghanistan and more about Iran and its nuclear program, and Pakistan, where Al-Qaeda may be. And this is seeming more and more to be the case. Polytech will be monitoring the situation very closely.